Several members of our CBS Sports HQ team were in shock today when they saw these odds to win NFL MVP. Patrick Mahomes is the favorite right now at plus 300. I think many thought it would be Lamar Jackson. He's down there at plus 550 along with C.J. Stroud. Jayden Daniels is moving up the board at 13-1 now with the sixth best odds to win it. But let's jump into this with Bryant McFadden, two-time Super Bowl champion. B-Mac, I have something else that I want to show you, and our producer Noah put this together up in the newsroom. It's Patrick Mahomes' stats this season and quarterbacks who are better than him at some of these things. Because it really is, when you look at Mahomes' stats, they're pretty pedestrian. Kirk Cousins has more passing yards per game. Sam Darnold has a better passing yards per attempt. Patrick Mahomes only has 6 passing touchdowns to 6 interceptions. Joe Flacco has more passing touchdowns than that. So when you look at that and you look at the odds, what say you?
I do not understand how Pat Mahomes could have the best odds based on what we've seen in 6-7 weeks of play. Now, what happens between now and the month of December, it remains to be seen. But what we've seen since the season has started, I'm surprised that he is the best. He has the best odds. He should not have the best odds. Based on that graphic right there that we all had an opportunity to look at and digest. I mean, yes, they're undefeated. No question they're undefeated. But Pat Mahomes, he's not playing like the best player in the National Football League, even though he's a part of an undefeated team. There are so many other quarterbacks that are playing better football, right? When you look at Lamar Jackson, individually speaking, he is playing better football. I know Kansas City beat Baltimore in week 1. Pat Mahomes won that head-to-head. But in totality, Lamar Jackson has played better football at the quarterback position. Look at C.J. Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Brock Purdy, Sam Darnold, who is a part of an undefeated team, he's played better. So when you talk about just the individual aspects that those quarterbacks have brought to their team, they have performed better in a month and a half in which we haven't seen a lot from Pat Mahomes. You talked about he had 6 passing touchdowns. 6 interceptions. He's currently tied for 19th in the National Football League in passing TDs. When you look at what he averages per ball game, he's outside the top 10. Total passing yards, Chris, he's 16th in the National Football League. There are so many other quarterbacks that have performed better than Pat Mahomes. And I know the MVP is an award that's based on your individual numbers, but also overall team success. There are a lot of quarterbacks in the National Football League that have played better football, and they're a part of successful winning teams. Might not be undefeated teams, but when you talk about being atop of their division, just like the Kansas City Chiefs, a la Lamar Jackson, with the Baltimore Ravens, a la C.J. Stroud, with the Houston Texans, they should be above Pat Mahomes, as we see it right now in a month and a half of play. It's
really surprising, especially when you put it into perspective where Mahomes ranks, and he's not even in the top 15 in a lot of ththose categories. But I know a lot of it is about where the money's coming in. I mean, if you put Mahomes at 10-1, you're going to get a ton of money on him because the Chiefs could go, 15-2, and Mahomes could break out in the second part of the season. It begins this week against the 49ers. Huge game, Super Bowl rematch. What do you see Mahomes doing starting this week?
Man, I see Mahomes doing what he's done, finding ways to win ball games. Now, the thing about this Patrick Mahomes, Chris, I think it's safe to say we're not seeing the style points that we've seen associated with him in years past, right? We're seeing uglier wins, but a win is a win. But I think Mahomes will find a way to win this ball game because recent history tells all of us when he is an underdog, he wins ball games. You do not bet against Pat Mahomes when you talk about being an underdog in the National Football League, along with Andy Reid. And don't forget, Chris, as well, one cool major nugget with this matchup, they're coming off a bye. Kansas City is. So that graphic is super important. You must follow the trend with this matchup. But another super important trend is Andy Reid coming off a bye. When given extra time to prepare, he's been one of the best coaches in the National Football League coming off a bye. So everything fits right fits right with Kansas City taking care of their business against the San Francisco 49ers. Until I see otherwise, I'm not betting against Pat Mahomes when he's an underdog.
So we saw the list of the favorites to win MVP, and Jayden Daniels continues to move up that board, and you expect him to put up some really good numbers this week against the worst defense in the league, the Carolina Panthers. B-Mac, no rookie has won MVP really in the modern age of football. It was Jim Brown back in the 1950s, but there you see Jayden Daniels with the 6th shortest odds to do it. Is he in the conversation right now for most valuable player?
Yes, he is. He should be. If he's not legit in the conversation, he should be. And here's why. You talked about his numbers, what he's done. You can just forego talking about offensive rookie of the year. Now he graduates to the big boy league, the MVP. He's been putting up great numbers. Just the accuracy has been super impressive watching him distribute the football and doing so in an accurate way. Not to mention the points. They're averaging over 30 points per ball game so far in the first quarter of the season. That has been amazing. Then when you talk about the most important stat that's associated with the MVP, wins, winning games. Currently, as we see it right now, they're 4-2, Chris. They're sitting atop their division, the NFC East. That's super important when you talk about having a legit chance to win the MVP, because the last time I checked, when you look at the most recent MVPs in the National Football League, right, in the National Football League, those players, going back to a year ago, Lamar Jackson, he won his division, had a very, very good record, win-loss record, right? The year after Lamar Jackson, I think was Pat Mahomes, won their division. He won his division, the AFC West. When you look at Aaron Rodgers, multiple times when he won it, won his division. When you go back to Cam Newton back in 2015, won his division. That is very, very important because that symbolizes you led a team to victory and you did so in a great way. So if he can continue to put up these numbers that we're seeing as an individual, and most importantly, the Commanders, they're winning games and they win their division, which when you look at the NFC East, it's kind of like a two-team race right now, Chris. As we see it today, it's kind of a two-team race in the NFC East. So he has a legit chance of finding ways to win ball games so they can win their division. No question, you have to throw his name into that conversation.
Bryant McFadden with us on HQ Spotlight. The Commanders have kind of become CBS darlings. They were on CBS last week against the Ravens, on CBS again this week against the Panthers, on CBS again next week against Caleb Williams and the Chicago Bears.